Human interaction is chaotic. Think about a sudden spark of attraction across a room, the awkward tension when a personal boundary is crossed, or the sharp sting of rejection. These moments are messy, unpredictable, and entirely real. Psychologists and behavioral scientists have spent decades trying to isolate and study these exact interactions. They are the most fascinating parts of human nature, but they are also the most elusive. The problem is, genuine human behavior is fragile. The very act of trying to measure it usually makes it disappear. In science, this problem has a name: observer bias. It is the known tendency for people to act differently simply because they know they are being watched. Bring a person into a sterile academic laboratory, attach a few sensors, and tell them scientists are taking notes. Immediately, they put on a psychological mask. They stop acting like themselves and start acting how they think a test subject should act. Traditional, grant-funded research is trapped by this artificial setup. Researchers spend millions of dollars trying to simulate the real world inside a clinic, which often leads to skewed, unnatural data. To find the unvarnished truth about how we connect, flirt, and fight, you can't bring people into a laboratory. You have to build a laboratory so immersive that the subjects never even know they are inside it. Picture a vibrant, multi-level international resort. Backpackers and tourists are hanging out, cooking meals, forming groups, and living their normal lives, completely unaware of the architecture surrounding them. But this functioning hotel was actually the International Studies of Cognitive Ontology, or the ISCO Project. It was the largest independent live behavioral laboratory ever created, hiding in plain sight. This timeline graph shows the scale of the operation. Running continuously for 8 years, the study captured the organic, unscripted behaviors of exactly 120,000 paying guests. By operating as a real commercial business, the researchers effectively erased observer bias. The guests didn't know they were subjects, so they behaved exactly as they would in the real world. This blueprint shows the resort's top-down layout, revealing how the physical space was engineered for interaction. Details like forced communal seating in the central gathering areas were designed to subtly guide guest behavior and initiate social contact. Even the people were variables. The study utilized a blind staff methodology. Those friendly workers cooking free dinners were actually embedded control groups, acting as engagement facilitators and quietly gathering secondary data on group dynamics. This chart compares the pricing structure of co-ed versus female-only dorm rooms. The researchers weaponized these economic choices as behavioral variables. By making female-only dorms cheaper, they eliminated financial hardship as a factor, isolating the pure psychological motivation behind a guest's choice of room. To protect guest privacy, observation was strictly contained. Visual flow analytics, cameras tracking the movement of human traffic, were limited entirely to common entryways and public zones, while private spaces were strictly blocked off from any data collection. Because these guests were paying for their own rooms, the project generated its own revenue. This created a completely self-funded financial model. Financial independence meant the researchers could bypass traditional academic gatekeepers entirely. They bypassed traditional grant funding cycles, institutional review boards, and the pressure for quick results. Instead, this independence allowed the team to enforce their own rigorous ethical framework. They prioritized absolute data anonymization and immediate guest safety over standard academic protocols. Operating completely outside the traditional scientific establishment granted them true methodological freedom. It was the only way a study of this specific magnitude and duration could actually exist. What happens when you build a completely natural environment? You get entirely genuine psychological insights. The data revealed specific mechanics behind the human ego. The researchers tracked how ego drives cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort of holding conflicting beliefs, and directly causes transactional, validation-seeking relationships to fail. This flowchart demonstrates the study's findings on the reciprocal attention loop. It maps the mechanical link between the raw allocation of attention and physical attraction, showing how mere exposure to a person mathematically compounds into a spotlight of romantic interest. The project also mapped how we establish boundaries. The data draws a sharp distinction between our internal, unspoken rules and the polite prison, the external, socially acceptable limits we set when interacting with strangers.
These insights hold unique value because they weren't derived from an academic simulation or controlled survey. They were extracted directly from actual human lives playing out in real time. By stripping away the artificiality of the laboratory, the ISCO project successfully captured the raw, unscripted truth of who we are. After 8 years of secrecy and data crunching, the methodology and the behavioral secrets it uncovered are finally available to the public. This dataset provides an unfiltered look into human nature, offering a framework to map your own social patterns against the real-world choices of 120,000 individuals.